Which speaker from Focal, one of our industry's most respected speaker vendors, took 3 years of research and development before it was ready for market? Which speaker from Focal then won the Editor's Choice Award from the Absolute Sound in 2022? It's this one. This is Focal Kanta No. 2. And if you're in the market for a floor-standing speaker that sounds really, really good, but doesn't dominate the room, stick around, because this might be the one for you. Hi, I'm Joe with Gramophone, and we have Focal's Kanta No. 2 set up in our Timonium, Maryland showroom, and we love what we're hearing. It's a really good combination of detailed and revealing on the one hand, and yet warm and musical on the other hand. This is a wonderful sounding speaker, and let's dig into the details to see what it's all about. So first, who is Focal? Well, they're a French speaker manufacturer that was founded in 1979, which means they've got over 40 years of manufacturing, designing, building loudspeakers. And they do virtually everything in-house as far as the design and engineering of the product. They even build most of the products themselves. So there's a tremendous amount of proprietary technology that we're going to talk about here. What that translates to is that their quality control is excellent because they keep so much of the process 100% under their control. Not only is Focal's quality control excellent, but their design work is impeccable and the fit and finish is terrific. Look at how these on the cabinet, how they've gently radiused all the edges. So there's really no sharp edges that are causing diffraction problems. And they extend that same thing to notice how gently beveled they've got the tweeter here. It's not just a cool design touch that looks good, there are acoustical benefits to it. Same thing with the gentle flaring that they've done on the ports. I love a product that looks every bit as good as it sounds. And while we're talking fit and finish, you can also get Kanta No. 2 in up to 8 different fit and finish combinations, including this one, which is a walnut matte for the cabinet and then ivory for the front baffle. I personally love the walnut matte with the black front baffle, but you'll have lots of choices that will fit your decor. So this is what Focal calls focus time. You can see that this front baffle is actually curved a little bit. So what they have done here is that they've time aligned it so that the woofer output, mid-range output, and tweeter output are all arriving at your ears in your seated listening position at the same time. That means everything's going to sound very coherent when you're listening to it. Additionally, this front baffle is one piece of a molded polymer, and the main benefit of this is that, number one, it's far, far denser and more dead than MDF would be, but it's also much stronger, so that when we're hammering away bass notes, and these are very bass-capable speakers when there is bass in there, the front baffle is not moving. It's staying stable, and that really enables you to hear the bass notes clearly because you're hearing the motion of the drivers. The baffle itself isn't moving. So let's talk a little bit about Kanta's pure beryllium inverted dome tweeter. When you get used to listening to a pair of speakers that has an awesome tweeter like this, you don't really want to go back to other ways of reproducing high frequency. The highs that you get from Kanta No. 2 are so clear and open, and they're never really harsh or fatiguing. So let's talk about why. We said it's pure beryllium. Why beryllium? Well, because it's both lighter than aluminum or titanium, but it's also stronger than both of them. So very lightweight, it can move very quickly in response to the notes and come right back and be ready for the next note. But additionally, it's so strong that it doesn't tend to suffer the breakup problems that you can often get, or that sort of little peaky kind of high frequency thing that can come from some of the other metals that get used in tweeters. We also said that this is an inverted dome. So it's not convex like most dome tweeters, it's concave. And that's something that Focal's been working on for 20 years. Why do they do it this way? Because all 3 or 4 people sitting on the couch will get this wide open sound stage that you're really enjoying, you don't have to be that one person sitting in the one sweet spot to enjoy what's coming from, the high frequency balance with this speaker. At Gramophone, we really appreciate your support. So if you're enjoying this video, please click the like and subscribe, maybe even leave us a comment, and click that little bell icon so that you're notified of all of our upcoming content. So let's talk a little bit about why you get such clear and detailed mid-range and especially bass notes from Kanta No. 2. Focal is not a let's buy it off the shelf driver kind of company. They've got a patent on this process. This might look like cloth or paper, but it's not. These are flax drivers, and they are woven. So the woven flax process, it took them a while to come up with this, but what you wind up with is an incredibly lightweight and yet stiff driver that can move very quickly and come back to its original shape very quickly. So the benefit of doing the mid-range and then the two bass drivers this way is that you can literally be hammering the volume and yet the notes stay clean. They don't break up like a paper cone would, and they're not maybe a little bit shrill like sometimes metal or some other types of materials would be. This is a very easy speaker to listen to, and a lot of it is due to these flax cones that, again, Focal has patented and which they make exclusively in-house in France. So let's talk a little bit about the rest of the cabinet. We've mentioned that Kanta No. 2 can really reproduce loud, clear, deep bass notes because of the drivers. But that also means that the cabinet integrity has to be there. We can't have the cabinet rattling or adding noise while the bass drivers are doing their thing. So first off, this cabinet is made of an integrally molded piece of wood. And because it is narrower in the back than it is in the front, and hopefully you can see how the back is a little narrower than the front, there are no parallel sides within this cabinet. So you've got both an incredibly strong cabinet that doesn't resonate, but that also is not reflecting notes back and forth in a way that they're adding distortion to the music. Focal has done a great job with this, and again, this is a part of their process of design and build in-house, which they do pretty much 100% on their upper quality speaker products. One other nice touch that Focal has done, they've added a port both in the front and in the back. Now sometimes with ports you can get a little chuffing noise. You really don't get that with this twin port design that Focal has done. It makes the cabinet more efficient and adds a little bit more bass output. So what does all this technology translate into when it comes to performance, when you sit and listen? Well, because the cabinet design and the crossover network and the mid-range, the woofers, the tweeter are all so much more sophisticated than what you would get, let's say, in a $2,500 pair of speakers. What you hear when you sit and listen is kind of an amazing combination of really clear, deep bass notes, not fat bass, but fast, tight bass, merged beautifully with this wide open upper end. Let's talk efficiency. Some audiophile grade speakers are very difficult to drive, finicky, require certain very specific amps to sound their best. Not Kanta No. 2. This is a 92 dB efficient speaker. So what that means is, in this room here at Timonium Store, we're driving with a $3,000 40 watt per channel tube amp, and it gets pretty loud in here. Now, if you choose to put the Kanta No. 2 together with some $15,000 or $20,000 worth of premium electronics, they'll sound even better. But trust me, it gets really pretty loud in here with a 40 watt amplifier. So what that means is potentially you can choose to dedicate a little bit more of your dollar towards a better pair of speakers, a little bit less toward the electronics, because these are relatively easy to drive, even to really pretty loud levels. I think that you'll find Kanta No. 2 to be a relatively easy speaker to set up. But like with all good speakers, any speaker that you take home, it's worth investing a little time, preferably with a partner, to play around a little bit with the setup. Yesterday when we sat down for a listening session, my first reaction was I was so kind of shocked by how open and clear the high end was that I almost wondered if it was a little bit too bright. I mentioned this to Warren, one of our sales guys. He took the speaker and angled it just a little bit, same with the other one, so that the tweeters weren't pointing quite as much directly towards me. And immediately everything just got better. Now the high frequency balance in the bass was just right. So when you get these home, take a little bit of time to experiment with placement, because placement can make a big difference in what you hear at your preferred listening position. So as part of this setup process we just referred to, let's talk about the great job Focal did with these decoupling spikes. You get a lot of flexibility in how you can set up the speaker. So if your floor is maybe just a little bit uneven or whatever, you can even actually, with these spikes, tilt the speaker slightly back. And depending on where, again, your preferred listening position is, it might be helpful to just tilt the speaker slightly back. So there's a lot of flexibility with what they did here. And cosmetically, of course, it also looks really great. Nice job, Focal. So Focal's Kanta No. 2 retails for $11,000 for the pair. Now, we've heard speakers at twice the price. For example, Kanta's own No. 3, which has slightly larger woofers, slightly bigger cabinet, sound even better than this, and play even better, especially in an extremely large room. This will fill up a medium to large room really well, but Kanta No. 3 would be even better. But we've also heard speakers at twice, and in some cases even 3 times this money, that don't sound nearly as good as the Kanta No. 2. This is a terrific speaker for the money, and we'd love to have you come down to Gramophone and give it a listen. If you're in the market for an audiophile grade speaker that touches all the bases but doesn't cost 6 figures, we think you should put Focal's Kanta No. 2 on your short list. To learn more about Focal and all of our fine brands, visit Gramophone.com and shop Sky by Gramophone, where you'll always get a secure checkout with fast and free shipping straight to your door. We'd love to meet you, so if you can, please come visit us. We've got stores in Timonium, Gaithersburg, and Columbia, Maryland. If you come to Timonium, make sure to visit our Experience Center, where you will see fabulous products. Also, check out our Kitchen Design Center up in Hunt Valley. It's recently been remodeled. Thank you for watching. We look forward to seeing you soon.